This would make the Miami Heat unstoppable, and I am not exaggerating in any way, as a brand new mock trade involving 4 different teams, bringing Kevin Durant, the multiple time scoring champion, to Miami finally is now public, and it is insane, to say the absolute least. I'm here to break down this mock trade, the likelihood it actually takes place, and if it would be a good move for this Miami Heat organization as currently constructed, and what positives as well as negatives it would actually bring. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Heat Digest, so let's not waste any time and get right to it, breaking down the news. And before we get to Kevin Durant or Andrew Wiggins' career, let's get to the article titled "Miami Heat Proposed to Land Kevin Durant in Blockbuster Trade to Form a New Big Three," and this is on heavy.com. And if you go through the article, it gets right to the mock trade, and this is a doozy. It's a 4-team trade including the Milwaukee Bucks, the Miami Heat, the Houston Rockets, and the Dallas Mavericks. So bear with me here. I'm going to run through all the different legs and what it actually looks like, and then we'll get to what Miami would actually be giving up and if it would be worth it for the package they would receive. So to start, the Miami Heat would receive Kevin Durant and Kevin Porter Jr. The Rockets would receive Miles Turner, Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, and a 2027 first-round pick, which would be a lottery pick from the Miami Heat. The Bucks would receive Daniel Gafford and Fred VanVleet. And finally, the Dallas Mavericks would receive Reed Shepherd. There's a lot of moving parts. I understand that. We are going to focus on what Miami would be giving up and what the problems would be with giving up these pieces in order to get Kevin Durant and Kevin Porter Jr. So let's first start with Mr. Utility, Andrew Wiggins, someone who opted into his player option this offseason and then immediately re-signed a new contract with this Miami Heat team that has another player option just 2 years down the line. So who is Andrew Wiggins? What would the Miami Heat be losing if they did conduct this blockbuster 4-team trade in order to acquire Kevin Durant and Kevin Porter Jr.? Now, we all know the illustrious career of Andrew Wiggins, and I know you may hear me saying illustrious. He's played 12 years. He's going into his 13th season in the league, and honestly, he's been a model of consistency. Yes, the overall point per game numbers have gone down and have fluctuated throughout his career, but as someone that was a top pick in the NBA draft back in 2014 and 2015 out of Kansas, the guy was one of the top, if not the top, high school players in the country because he was one of the most freak athletes we have ever seen. And I'm saying that firsthand because I was 14 years old when he was drafted, and I was a huge basketball fan. I played the game of basketball in high school and in middle school, and I loved watching the mixtape of Andrew Wiggins because I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to be as much of an athlete as he was. He had a crazy wingspan. He had a crazy athletic ability, and just it was absurd to watch him, especially as someone as young as I was at the time, and it felt like he was going to be the greatest player to ever live, to be quite frank with you. Now, did he end up being that? No. But what has he been? He's been a monster defensively throughout the entirety of his 12-year career, now going into his 13th season. And he's been really, really consistent on the offensive end. And if you notice, the three-point numbers have done nothing but gone up through his career. With his inability to remain athletic, at least through the abilities as what we witnessed through his first handful of seasons in the National Basketball Association, obviously with age and just more experience being obtained, the athleticism is going to dip because no one is going to beat Father Time outside of LeBron James. I understand he's an outlier. He is an outlier. No one else is LeBron James. Andrew Wiggins was a freak athlete, and as the years go by, we don't see as much as of that athleticism being really relied on and utilized to the extent that we saw in the opening years of his career. So what happens? The three-point shot goes up, the attempts go up, and the percentage based off last year, he shot 41.5%. The three-point numbers continue to go up as he knows it is becoming more and more of a factor for him, and we know the big piece that he's going to be to this Miami Heat team, especially this year, now being if looked at as one of the best defensive teams we've witnessed in a long time, with Wiggins, Adebayo, obviously Giannis, and then Davion Mitchell and various others that round out this Heat organization. The defense is going to be the focal point, but the offensive abilities that Wiggins maintains in a utility and complementary role are going to be extremely, extremely required for them to continue to be successful. But if you get Kevin Durant, all of the offensive capabilities and ideas go out the window because you have a legitimate 26 to 32 point per game scorer on a nightly basis now at your disposal. And again, to mention, round out the Wiggins conversation, he opted into that. Oh, that's the wrong one. Where is it? The original one, which is here. He opted into that player option, which was at a $30.1 million price tag, and immediately re-signed a new contract, which is 2 years in length, the second year being a player option at $17.3 million. And that wasn't great because it took away a lot of the cap room Miami would have this offseason if he didn't opt into that $30 million price tag for this up-and-coming year. Again, we're not going to get into that, but it did happen, and it did handicap the Heat's overall financial abilities this offseason because of him opting in. Now, to continue, Davion Mitchell is the second piece of the outgoing pieces for this Heat team in this blockbuster trade, and you guys know how I feel about this young man. He is nicknamed Off Night for a specific reason. The dude is an elite defender, especially on the perimeter, surrounding guards. He's one of the best defensive guards in the association, and I say that confidently. He is a monster defensively, and I feel like, again, I've said it ad nauseum this offseason, he is going to exceed all expectations offensively this season for this Heat team, and it's not going to be just in a complimentary role. Don't be surprised if he averages anywhere from 14 to 18 points a game this year, and it would be on three-point shooting where he might be prolific, and I mean that honestly. He might be prolific in the spot-up shots he gets, playing off of Giannis and Bam Adebayo and various others a part of this Heat team, while also being one of the better guard defenders in the association. Look at the steal numbers. The last 2 years, averaging 1.5 2 years ago, and then 1 full steal last season. He has the abilities to go out there and really be a menace defensively and take away the best guard option on opposing teams, while having a great ability to facilitate the basketball while also being able to score the basketball, which again, I believe he's going to take leaps and bounds this year in his abilities, especially behind the three-point line as he continues to grow and progress and really highlight his abilities. He hasn't taken a single day off, an hour or a minute off this offseason, so he's going to continue to get better and better. And again, he's in the final year of a 2-year, $24 million contract. It is a prove-it year for Davion Mitchell and more of a reason to go out there and be absolutely just transcendent for this Heat team. So what would Miami be getting back? Yes, you'd be losing a starting point guard. You'd be losing a starting small forward who would, both of them bring great defensive abilities and have the potential to exceed all offensive expectations this season for each of them individually. But if you get Kevin Durant and you pair him with Giannis and Bam Adebayo, oh good Lord. Oh, good Lord. Does the defense get a tick worse? Absolutely, because Davion Mitchell at the guard position, as well as Andrew Wiggins, losing those two guys on any team, regardless of how it's constructed around them, is going to impact their defensive abilities. But you still have Giannis, you still have Bam, you still have other good pieces, and you'd be bringing in Kevin Porter Jr., who's no slouch defensively, who still maintains great athleticism and youth in his career, that could really put them in a position where they continue to get better and better and better, and having them play off of guys like Bam and Giannis would unlock even more of their abilities and make them even look better. So, what does Kevin Durant bring you? Specifically offensively, because we know with his age, he's not going to continue to be even a respectable defender at that. Yes, I'm not going to argue he's going to be a liability, straight up liability, but he's not going to be a great defender by any metric. But the offensive capabilities that he maintains, he can give you 25 points a game in his sleep, and that is not an exaggeration in any way. This dude is a prolific scorer, arguably the greatest scorer to ever pick up a basketball in the history of the world. Not just the game, but in the history of the world. And that, again, it's not an exaggeration. What does his contract look like? You may be asking and may be wondering. Well, he's in the first of a 2-year, $90 million deal. And next season, which is his age 39 season, is a player option at $46 million. Now, the likelihood he would return to Miami would probably be pretty high, especially at that price tag, with the idea of continuing to play alongside Giannis and Bam Adebayo. It seems like a pretty promising idea, especially for someone in Durant who, based off all accounts, wants to continue to compete for NBA championships. I really do like the idea. Now, is it possible that it actually happens? It seems unlikely, because a 4-team blockbuster trade at this point in the offseason, it being now August 14th, again, every day that goes by, it seems more and more unlikely. But again, let's just have a fun conversation here. If it did happen, Miami would get better in my opinion. I know the defense would take a step down, but the offensive abilities, while still maintaining great defensive abilities with Giannis and Bam at the forefront of that conversation, would still be a huge conversation piece. Now, Kevin Porter Jr. would fill in for Davion Mitchell at the guard position. Now, is he a true point guard? No. Can he play the point guard position? Absolutely. He's coming off a career year when it comes to facilitating the basketball, averaging 7.5 assists as well as 5 rebounds and just under 18 points per game, while averaging 2.2 steals per game. That's massive. He's only 25 years of age. His contract is favorable. This could be a really, really good opportunity for the Miami Heat. Now, is it going to happen? Again, I would bet my life savings it doesn't. If it did happen, would I be popping champagne on this channel? Yes, I would, and I love Davion Mitchell, and I would hate to see him go. But it's the same type of conversation that would surround Steph Curry if Davion Mitchell was used as a throw-in piece to get Curry to Miami. They got better. They got Durant. They got someone who's young at 25 on a favorable, respectable contract who has had a career year just a year ago, not only overall, but in the idea of facilitating and defensively. This would legitimately make the Miami Heat unstoppable, and that is not an exaggeration. Adding 26 points per game, and that is really the lower side of things when it comes to Kevin Durant, as well as a legitimately 16 to 20 point per game scorer with great assist abilities and facilitating abilities in Kevin Porter Jr., who has great athleticism, great ability to slash score at all 3 levels, while also being a very, very, very respectable defender. I don't know if there's another mock trade we could break down on this channel that would make this Heat team better than they currently are, than the one that we just broke down. Let me know down below your thoughts and opinions on this mock trade involving Kevin Durant and Kevin Porter Jr. and the outgoing pieces, including Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, and a first-round lottery pick in 2027. Your ideas on it. Would you do it if you were Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley? And if you weren't, why not? Let me know down below your thoughts and opinions, and I'll see you on the next episode of Heat Digest. Thank you guys for watching.